Hey everyone, welcome to the Building E-commerce segment of MyAlice. I'm Ridwan, your host for the show. In this segment, we help out newcomers and early enthusiasts of the e-commerce ecosystem to learn and navigate around this vast digital jungle with a modern approach. Now, if you're new to this channel and segment, welcome. I drop an episode every second and fourth Sunday where you'll find enablers of the ecosystem bringing in their playbook for success. So, if you're new and if you haven't subscribed yet, be sure to smack that subscribe button so you get notified every time I drop an episode. Intro. Welcome. We were actually off last Sunday because our team has been working day and night to pull off our first ever event in the Philippines. But we are back from our mid-season break, so if you're watching, it's really good to have you guys back. Given that we were all working for an event in the Philippines, our last episode was actually an intro to the e-commerce scene of the Philippines where we had the charismatic Patrick Quartero from Skyrocket Studios tell you all the stories. So if you haven't checked that episode out, click on the link below. This week though, we have something that has become a modern trend in the e-commerce world around us from somewhere whose ripple effects also have impacted us in some way or the other. All the way from Kyiv, Ukraine, please welcome to the show Dymtro Yeremenko from Infinite Life Commerce. Hey, welcome to the show, Dymtro. Pleased to have you.
Thank you for inviting me.
It's you and I have been talking for a while, and ever since you first reached out or we first touched base, I've been very much looking forward to talking about everything e-commerce and particularly live commerce. So please tell us a bit about yourself and how you actually came into the world of live commerce as you are today.
Okay, so my name is Dymtro Yeremenko, and I'm a business analyst at JMIND. JMIND is a Ukrainian IT product company with a fully Ukrainian team. Prior to joining JMIND, I worked as a Big Four consultant, as an EY consultant, and managed to participate in numerous projects for large companies in various industries in Ukraine, CIS, and Europe. I worked both in Ukraine and in Germany. I joined JMIND 1.5 years ago. And actually, that was the turning point for the company. I'll dive a little back in. So JMIND was overall founded in 2017. And in 2018, the company joined the Techia Holding, which helped it become stronger and extended product portfolio. And for the time being, the company was focused on outsourcing IT development, and we managed to successfully complete several projects in social discovery, blockchain, esports, and live streaming. And actually, 2021 was the year that laid the cornerstone of the development of my company as a product company away from outsourcing. As COVID-19 boosted the popularity of video content worldwide, we decided to launch our own live streaming solution, at that time only live streaming. And we also had a number of projects in social discovery and Web 3.0 in our portfolio. And actually our live commerce project, Infinite, the one we will discuss during this podcast, started with the idea from a successfully completed live streaming project for the Asian market, during which we also discovered the rising trend for live commerce. And initially, our product had two directions. One was the solution for live streaming and VOD platforms, and another one, a live commerce solution. And for a while, we tried to develop both directions. We pivoted a lot, but finally came to a single software as a service live commerce solution. So I would say my path to live commerce kind of happened organically. I just joined the company, and the company decided to go into that niche. Actually, we did quite a lot during 2021. We developed a lot of product features, and despite the gradual increase in Russian troops on Ukrainian borders, we continued to work on the project. The first demos were actually scheduled for February 25th, and then February 24th, Russia started the full-scale military invasion of Ukraine. So our Ukrainian negotiations went bust, of course. So yeah, and right now, during the war, we try to continue with the business development and the product development. So, of course, we had to review our go-to-market strategy and our positioning and cancel most of the negotiations within Ukraine. So, yeah, hopefully we'll manage to succeed on the international markets and get back to Ukraine once this situation stabilizes a bit.
Yeah. First up, sometimes you fail to express words as to the kind of situations you guys went through to keep your team running. I hope that, your family, your friends, your colleagues, they're all at their best. I hope and pray for the best for Ukraine, for Kyiv, and the people in Ukraine. With that being said, one of the most interesting parts that you clearly touched on was how your company pivoted and got to live commerce. So I'd like to touch base a little bit more on that and better understand why live commerce actually drew your or JMIND's attention as a potential opportunity to pivot to, and why does it really help businesses grow, and exactly where do you see the potential?
So yeah, the interesting thing is I've been researching the topic for a while now, almost 1.5 years, and I can say that in 2021, researchers still had doubts whether live commerce would succeed outside Asia and outside China in particular. Yeah. But right now in 2022, most of the researchers and most of the papers and reports on the matter on digital trends and digital commerce in particular, they all come to a conclusion that live commerce is a trend that is here to stay, actually, and it's gradually making its way out of China and out of Asia to the West. Of course, the Western landscape is still fragmented and developing. But overall, if to talk about China, the first live commerce attempts were around 2015 or 2016. Most of the researchers conclude on 2016. And since then, like in 6 years, the live commerce market in China is expected to generate around 400 billion in 2022, which is around 17% of the Chinese e-commerce market and roughly half the size of the whole European e-commerce market. And in 2023, that would be 620 billion. This is all according to eMarketer, the research agency. Europe and the US are actually steadily tagging along. The Influencer Marketing Factory, one of the influencer marketing agencies, states that in the US, 57% of customers have already tried live commerce and purchasing during a live stream shopping event. And actually, the respective 2023 US sales are estimated at 25 billion. Not much for now, but it's around 3% of the total expected e-commerce market. With regard to Europe, Forrester and research and advisory company indicates that almost 60% of Europeans are interested in live streaming on e-commerce platforms or have already purchased something through it. And Germany, for example, expects its live shopping market size at 14 billion euros in 5 years, which will be around 10% of total expected e-commerce. Overall, McKinsey, one of the big threes, predicts that up to 1 in 5 e-commerce sales globally will be done via live shopping by 2026, so in 4 years. So the trend is really apparently here to stay. If to take media and media coverage of the trend, most of the media mention it as one of the most prominent trends in digital retail currently. For example, Forbes states that the format is already, and I quote, a powerful selling tool that generates actual revenue. According to Business Insider, brands that are not spending on live shopping by the end of 2022 are going to feel like they're in the Stone Age, again a quote. And Business of Fashion and McKinsey state in their 2022 The State of Fashion report that brands should double down on tailored in-app purchase journeys and test opportunities in technologies such as live streaming. Again, a quote. So overall, the trend is definitely here to stay. Researchers still don't have a single opinion on the development of the trend outside Asia, in US and Europe. But more and more companies and more brands and online retailers are experimenting with it. So from Walmart to Avon to Lacoste to Samsung, and basically companies in any industry and in any and every industry focus on that. The landscape already produced, at least from what I can see, 4 types of key live commerce players. On the market. The first one is vendors like us, like JMIND and Infinite. Basically, the companies that help other e-commerce businesses integrate live commerce into their online selling platforms. And of course, all these vendors have different focus. For example, some focus on one-to-many solutions, as us and Infinite in particular. Others focus on one-to-one solutions or one-to-few solutions, or also many-to-many solutions, where many vendors can stream simultaneously. Apart from vendors, there are also horizontal and vertical marketplaces focusing solely on live commerce. With regards to horizontal ones, there are like PopShop Live, ShopShops, Yay, TopShop Live, BuyWith, and all that. With regards to vertical, there are Network, Whatnot, and Supergreat, which focus on specific niches. Apart from that, all major social networks are going into live commerce. Both Facebook and Instagram from Meta, they develop their live commerce capabilities and testing them. Also, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, and Pinterest are already in development, and they will soon launch such capabilities. And the fourth type of players are the e-com builders, like Shopify, WooCommerce, and Magento. And the similar platforms. They also develop a lot of live commerce capabilities themselves. And they integrate a lot of third-party vendors into their ecosystem to allow other brands and retailers develop and construct their own online selling platforms with already built-in live commerce capabilities. So with regards to how the format can actually help businesses, how does it make businesses more profitable?
Absolutely.
The first thing is, as live commerce is by definition the combination of live streaming and e-commerce, as the name implies. So during a typical shoppable broadcast, a host or hosts demonstrate selected products for sale, and during the broadcast, the viewers can ask the host questions in the live chat to get immediate answers. They can discuss the product with other viewers to get some insights on it. Of course, they can seamlessly buy it without leaving the stream. So the format itself provides a lot of tools for viewer interaction and engagement and reach. But of course, it shouldn't be viewed as a magic pill, because a lot depends on the live shopping event promotion and its concept, its relevance to the audience. Of course, but overall, a lot of stuff is provided organically within the format. So first, it's personal contact on scale. Using live commerce tools is a great way to establish this direct, immediate contact with the global audience of an online selling platform. And basically, live commerce allows for a single sales representative or influencer, the host, basically to engage with multiple viewers at once in quite a cost-efficient manner. Whereas such human connection combined with this personalization at scale cannot be achieved in store or with traditional e-commerce. And actually, stats show that around 60 to 90% of viewers join the chat and or interact with the products for sale. So a single live selling show may reach and engage hundreds and even thousands of potential clients. Overall, the format is currently most popular with Gen Z. They are most likely to choose live and social commerce over a traditional one. And actually, companies selling live point out that their younger audience increase by up to 20%. But speaking about fashion brands, luxury goods, or beauty products, around 1/3 of buyers are millennials. So it's primarily focused on Gen Z and also covers quite a lot of millennials. In terms of this direct, immediate connection, this connection also proves to be very informative for all the parties concerned.
Absolutely.
So as viewers can ask the host for detailed product descriptions and demonstrations from various perspectives and get answers in real time. And the host, in their turn, receive immediate feedback from the audience and are able to adjust their sales efforts accordingly on the fly. And of course, customers can communicate with each other to discuss the merchandise and exchange insights, which provides tons of social proof required to capture a sale.
Now, I remember that.
No, sorry, please continue. No, I just wanted to say, like, I remember, like, being in, because I come from sales too. I used to work in a Nike store. I worked in a Puma store. And during Easter breaks, or let's per se during, the time leading up to Christmas, right, from November all the way to December, especially on weekends, you'd have so many people inside the store that I at one point in time, I'd be serving 5 customers at a time, trying to deal with all their specific queries. And again, that in-store experience where you just mentioned about, customers can interact with each other, really get, the kind of answers that they're looking for about a particular product, and salespeople can also sort of like customize their sales tactic on the fly. These are some of the actual in-store brick and mortar experience problems that live commerce actually gets to solve. So, no, absolutely, on point as to what you guys are doing. So yeah, please, you were talking more on the experience part as well. So please continue.
As you mentioned, this in-store experience online really captures the viewer's attention and keeps them occupied and entertained. That's why live commerce is quite often referred to as part of the shoppertainment trend, like the combination of shopping and entertainment. And of course, the format itself is not sufficient, and the greatest effect here can be achieved with a combination of a charismatic host that can engage your audience, a relevant show concept for the viewers, unique storytelling approaches, constant real-time communications, and addressing all the questions from the users, and of course, extensive event promotions. And since the success of live commerce is often built around urgency, and the exclusivity of drops presented during the live commerce events. Such limited time offers, discounts, raffles, auctions, and all that viewer engagement elements will make such events even more engaging for the viewers, and engaged viewers, of course, try to tend to buy more. And overall, stats show that an average viewer watches a shoppable live stream for around 10 to 15 minutes. For me, it's kind of crazy because we live in time of short 15-second videos right now. And these 10-15 minutes are 5 or even more times higher than the usual time spent on an e-commerce website. And in the end, customers stay longer, which means they're more likely to make a purchase. And if to talk about different channels, as I mentioned, the 4 types of live commerce players currently on the market, and if to take vendors like us suggesting and proposing a dedicated platform native live commerce solutions, such platform native solutions allows to fully control this new sales channel, so both the user acquisition, engagement, retention, as well as the data related to the customer purchasing behavior and viewership. Of course, all this provides tools to precisely manage and continuously improve the channel and the underlying processes and techniques. Apart from all that, the format has huge potential for building better relationship with clients and creating communities, so for client retention overall. The format, I would say, is inherently predisposed for community building. Since live shopping events are steadily gaining popularity in the West, but are still new to the Western audience, a community may be developed solely around the novelty of the format and of this in-store experience online. And of course, as I mentioned, inviting charismatic hosts, choosing different show setups, experimenting with stories to tell, and adding suitable audience interaction elements will make it worth your viewers' time to join the live commerce event and to engage with the live commerce community and get real actual value. Another thing which live commerce brings is versatility. As I mentioned before, I can say the format is generally product agnostic, as anything can be sold live. With a unique approach to the right buyer. And despite the fact that fashion and beauty are most commonly associated with live commerce, they are far from being the only category suitable for it. Like in China, pretty much everything sells online. For example, Via, it's a famous Chinese live commerce influencer, once managed to sell a 6 million commercial rocket launch. So basically, everything can be sold online. For now, stats show that 40% of viewers attend live events to shop for home products and around 38% for consumer electronics. And according to another research, fresh food is actually gaining popularity as one of the top product categories in such events, after clothing and apparel and beauty, of course. And Forrester again states that live shopping adoption is further going to expand in 2022, as around the half of the brands surveyed plan to increase their investment in social commerce, most of them in live shopping investments. To conclude with all that, all the perks live commerce brings result in tangible sales figures as the format merges the stages of the buying journey, in the discover, explore, and buy stages in particular, it significantly shortens the path to making a purchase. And overall, again, according to McKinsey, shoppable live streaming may provide conversion rates of up to 30%, which is around 10 times higher than for conventional e-commerce, as well as may result in 4 times more product in the cart. And apart from that, Coresight research also states that customers shopping live are 40% less likely to return products than traditional online shoppers. And in fashion, for example, almost 3/4 of product returns are preference-based. So live commerce, with its informative and educational nature, proves to mitigate a lot of the related risks, since the customers get more information about the products, and they have a better understanding of the products they're buying. So lots of perks. To sum up, lots of perks in terms of personal contact, engagement, and reach. The retention elements, the versatility of the format, and of course the sales figures, the increase in conversions and decrease in product returns.
Yep. No, fantastic. That's like like honestly, for lack of a better pun, an infinite amount of opportunities there. But while you were saying that, you know, I couldn't help but think, right? Do you remember watching? I don't know if in Ukraine there were access to late night American TV shows where you would get to see things being sold on TV, and you could call and you could place your order.
Of course.
Yeah. So it just feels like, you know, live commerce from TV has just transitioned to an online platform, right?
Because your audience is
essentially your audience has moved platforms, so your channels moved. So it's just presented opportunity for people who's not seen it yet, essentially.
Yeah, of course. There's definitely a degree of circularity, historical circularity here, because the teleshopping just moved to mobile, and now it's making its way into the digital commerce world, and I would say pretty successfully.
Yeah, teleshopping is actually still like sporadically on in some parts of America, I would still say, because like you still have these like afternoon TV shows and late night TV shows, and you still have hosts coming in, right? And they like endorse a product, show how the product runs, and basically endorse and sells it. So that archaic format is still running, but I would say, or we could all agree that, you know, 95 to 99% of your audience are all online based. So it's definitely live commerce is the future. While you were touching base on the various verticals as well, various horizons, and various formats of, you know, a live commerce selling, where would you say Infinite is best placed? Because again, I got very curious as to like, where would you place Infinite in so many of this like spectrum that you just mentioned?
In terms of the solutions, currently we're focusing on the one-to-many solution. When a single host can reach multiple viewers at the same time. Of course, since we're like at the very beginning of our product journey, we will also consider other solutions like one-to-one or many-to-many solutions. We're working on research on that. So for now, we are a vendor providing a one-to-many solution. Currently, we focus on broad online retail. So as I mentioned, anything could be sold live. So we look at clothing and apparel companies, beauty and skincare, jewelry, sportswear, consumer electronics, furniture, housewares, childcare products, groceries, musical instruments, you name it.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Actually, we the thing is, at the very beginning, we were targeting Ukraine as our primary market for launch, and we had extensive negotiations with large Ukrainian e-commerce players. But of course, the full-scale invasion ruined our plans. We had to postpone our Ukrainian launch. And of course, we cannot do any business with countries or companies openly or silently supporting the war in Ukraine. So we are actively researching new markets. We just relaunched our sales efforts in mid-April this year.
Okay.
So it's been only 2 months. Something like that. We are still researching new markets. We are still looking for potential clients and partners. And for now, we try different approaches and potential customer segmentations. From Ukraine to countries and companies supporting Ukraine during wartime, to various geographical and industrial cuts to compare their performance. And in terms of sizing, we are looking at medium, large online retailers. I think most of the large ones have tried live commerce in this or that way. So we try to focus on the medium companies. And in terms of the platforms themselves, as we currently focus on a one-to-many solution involving a single streaming entity, I would say. So currently we target brands, and single vendor platforms are in the spotlight. But in the future, we consider expanding to multi-vendor marketplaces to allow multiple streamers to reach a broad audience.
Oh, that's a fantastic product roadmap, honestly. So good luck with that. Being in an early stage startup ourselves, the product roadmap is a long, patient journey to make. So different boats, but sort of the same journey to make. So looking forward to all the exciting new features that are coming up on JMIND's platform. With that being said, one of the things that you also mentioned that you guys were currently on single vendor platforms. Are there any specific ecosystems that JMIND particularly focuses on, like on Shopify, WooCommerce, Magento, or even custom build platforms, or is it open source? Pretty much, you guys can custom build in any particular given platform.
The thing is, for now, I'll start from the beginning. From Infinite itself. So basically, Infinite, our live commerce solution. Sorry, it has 4 components. So the first one is a web widget that can be quickly integrated into any online selling platform. Basically, it's platform agnostic. The second component is mobile libraries for iOS and Android apps. Their integration depends on the specific app. The third one is the web admin panel to manage and monitor all the shoppable streams. And of course, the fourth component is our backend architecture. We can provide access to our backend architecture if this is required. In terms of the integration with the popular platforms, of course, we're looking at Shopify because Shopify does a lot for live commerce integration. It already has a number of players integrated into the Shopify ecosystem. For now, we do not provide that, but we will definitely focus on it on the future.
No, absolutely fantastic. With that being said, you mentioned that a lot of the strategies that you guys had taken during the invasion halted your process for all channels in Ukraine to be stopped or just halted, right? So with that being said, I'm sure your team had to disperse all across Europe, and again, very difficult and challenging time to go through. So during that time, and again, through the most toughest of challenges, does a very good innovative product, very innovative strategies come out for companies to survive. So during that particular time, what were some of the basically, how did your team really manage the work process? And in which particular market segments did you look into to try and place your product and channel it through?
So when the full-scale invasion started, actually nobody expected that would really happen, that Russia would really launch a full-scale invasion on Ukraine. Of course, we are at war with Russia for 8 years already, but it was concentrated in the east. Same as now, actually, as all the war effort moved to the eastern and southern regions of Ukraine. So yeah, the first days, and I would say the first 2 weeks, were the most complicated and the toughest for everyone.
Yep.
Some of our colleagues immediately joined the armed forces to defend their country. Most of the others had to evacuate to safety, either inside or outside of Ukraine. And some decided to stay willingly, including me. I never left Kyiv, just moved around a bit. And yeah, the highest priority was our team's safety and well-being.
Yeah.
So we were able to restart our processes and start rethinking our plans after everyone was safe and accounted for. I guess within the first 2 weeks, we were able to get back to work at some core capacities. Of course, at first, everybody worked from everywhere and did everything to relaunch our internal processes. Depending on the circumstances he or she was into. And everybody had different work schedules because of different locations and living conditions. And people who stayed in Ukraine actually left group calls when air raid sirens went on to run into shelters. And people who left were extremely worried because they were only relying on the news, which are devastating. Mostly. And within 2 weeks, we managed to relaunch. And today, I guess it's the 111th day of the full-scale war. And currently, we managed to return to our more or less stable schedules and processes. And actually, having returned to my apartment, I spent 2 weeks on the outskirts of Kyiv because of the high degrees of uncertainty. Nobody knew how intense the war would be in Kyiv. So I decided to relocate to the outskirts. But then when I returned home after days, I understood that I like my work so much, and it really helps focus and doom scroll the news less. And during wartime, each of our employees had to redefine their usual roles. As I mentioned, some joined the army, others volunteered to provide financing, supplies, transportation, accommodation, any other assistance they could. And all of us continue to work both on our commercial projects like Infinite, and also our team is actively involved in Blend. It's another JMIND's product. It's a non-profit product connecting people who seek help with people who can provide it. For now, it's mostly a C2C platform that connects people in search in need of help. We relaunched it as a non-profit product around the same time we relaunched Infinite, and right now we have 5,000 users and growing, and we managed to help quite a lot of people with their assistant requests.
Amazing story of resilience there. Absolutely.
And in terms of the support our employees get, both JMIND and Techia, our holding company, help employees a lot and support initiatives regarding people affected by the war.
Yeah.
And of course, like during the first weeks of the full-scale invasions, the company provided evacuation and accommodation options in the western regions of Ukraine. Of course, everybody switched to super flexible working arrangements while the processes were reestablished, and individual material support was provided if requested, and both companies donate regularly to various fundraisers and war-related initiatives. And with regards to markets, the second part of your question, first we focused on the companies and countries that were supporting Ukraine the most, and actually we managed to successfully target into Baltics, the Baltics countries, Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia. We got quite good feedback from there, and I guess since our relaunch, we already got 20 demos. So with 20 clients, of course, not all of them were successful, but with some of the clients, we are moving closer and closer towards signing our first contract. So, let's hope it works.
Yeah, no, I'm sure it will. Again, these efforts, these are absolutely brilliant, because they show so much resilience at the face of such challenge. You were so comfortable in saying, hey, I was not sure about how things are going to be in Kyiv, so I was staying in the outskirts for 12 days at the peak of war. And after 12 days, I thought, well, it seems more safe for me to go back home. So I just went back home during a wartime with such a chill face. Again, I will never be able to comprehend that. I don't think anyone will be able to comprehend that. I don't think anyone listening to this conversation, listening to this bit, will be able to comprehend the kind of mindset it takes at the peak of war to say, hey, I love my job. It's been 12 days. I'm just going to go back home and try to get to work. Respect. Absolutely. Mad respect here.
Yeah, one may get an impression that everything is super easy with regards to war in Ukraine. It's not. Of course, like all the action moved from the capital a couple of months ago. But the fighting moved to the eastern and southern regions, and it's severe there. We are still outnumbered and outgunned. And we greatly appreciate all the help we received from the international community. And of course, it's too early to relax, even though like the atmosphere in Kyiv is getting back to normal, to some pre-war levels. We're still at war, and we still need all the support we can get.
Yeah, absolutely. With that being said, earlier you mentioned that during the war started, or when the war started, a lot of your negotiations that were happening in Ukraine had to stop, right? Which means it was the same for a lot of other, or pretty much every single player who were contributing to the e-commerce ecosystem in Ukraine, right? So for the people out there in the world, whoever is listening to this, what was the e-commerce industry like in Ukraine? And just so that people can get a glimpse of what's been destroyed.
If to take the overall market size, it's quite small. Actually, in 2021, the whole market was estimated at roughly 4.5 to 5 billion US dollars. The share of e-com in retail is currently around 9%. It's expected to grow to around 11% by 2025, and the market size overall to around 8 billion.
Yep.
The number of regular online shoppers were around 11 million. If you had to take the pre-war population of Ukraine, which was around 41 million. Sorry, that's roughly 1/4.
Yeah.
But the e-commerce segment overall grew much faster than with the neighboring countries. For example, in Ukraine from 2019 to 2020, the sector showed around 41% growth. For example, like in Poland, it was 37%, and in Czech Republic, it was 29%. So Ukraine demonstrated the highest growth rate in Central and Eastern Europe in terms of e-commerce. In terms of annual per capita expenditures, for example, we are the lowest among the European countries. It's around $105, whereas in Hungary, which is the closest to us, it's $221, so twice as much. But yeah, overall, the internet penetration is growing. In 2020, it was estimated at 78%, and it's growing further. The smartphone penetration was around 60%. In terms of age groups, previously e-commerce was more popular with 18-23-year-olds, but now the core age group is 25-34. They constitute around 40%, with the 18-23 and 35-44 age groups 20% each. A little more skewed towards the female side than male. It's around 53 female, 47 male. In terms of top categories, it happened historically that consumer electronics is the leading category, and it's far behind from everyone else. And of course, apart from that, it's also apparel and footwear, furniture and housewares, beauty and personal care, and children wear. The highest growth potential was estimated for clothing and beauty, and also pharmaceuticals and groceries are the two, I would say, emerging verticals, because they were not that popular, not that developed in Ukraine before the COVID-19 pandemics. And entertainment is still lagging behind in comparison to Europe, for example. And in terms of the types of players, the landscape is fully dominated by marketplaces. Various sources indicate that around 60 to 80% of all the shopping and all the e-commerce shopping is done at marketplaces. And here again, we have like a couple of companies. For example, in terms of marketplaces, we have two companies that occupy around 80% of the market, and all the other marketplaces share the remaining 20. In terms of classifieds, we also have like definite leaders with more than the half of the market share. In terms of various e-commerce platforms with various specialization, we don't have any clear dominance of the players there, so most of the players share the market equally. And also we, in terms of popular things, we have price aggregators, of course. But yeah, mostly if to look at the recent years, a lot of platforms that were initially focused on, let's say, consumer electronics or anything else, they turned into marketplaces. And like a lot of platforms are turning into marketplaces. Overall, the D2C, the direct-to-customer focus increases. And more brands and online retailers are focusing on the direct-to-customer approach. But in terms of other digital trends in digital commerce, like AR, VR, virtual try-ons, conversational commerce, and all that. We're still in the early development stages of that. We have quite a developed payment system. Actually, the Ukrainian e-banking is considered one of the fastest and most convenient in the world, because like we can make transfers in seconds, actually, the payment landscape is pretty much developed. But the thing is that most of the payment systems are localized, and not many platforms overall focus on the international delivery and may provide international delivery. So the cross-border trade is somehow limited in Ukraine because of the developing legislation issues, and again the lack of integration with the European, for example, payment services and delivery services. So our e-exports is really small. It's around 450 million. What else? The credit and buy now, pay later options are quite common. Same as in it's quite the same as in Europe, with the only exception that the providers are local. And in terms of the startups and investments, with regard to e-commerce, most of the companies that gathered significant investments recently in the recent years, they weren't primarily involved into e-commerce. But our payment startups and delivery startups managed to gather quite a lot of investments here. So it's mostly like the supplementary services for e-commerce payment and delivery. And in terms of like the purely e-commerce startups, we don't have that much in Ukraine. But for example, one of the interesting one is the DressX. It's a platform for digital fashion. In 2021, it got quite heavy investments, and by the end of 2021, DressX, together with Google, developed the first digital fashion collection for Pixel 6.
Oh, wow.
And the platform is actually developing quite fast. We'll see how it goes. But it's not purely e-commerce, but digital fashion is also developing quite fast right now. So we'll see how it goes.
So much opportunity actually, and so much to look in the future for Ukraine. Hopefully, as the war ends, the invasion ends soon, so that all these opportunities that are just being held back right now can just catapult into the future and really, really bring prosperity into Ukraine and into the world of e-commerce, global e-commerce, actually. With that being said, it was lovely talking to you, Dymtro. I think I got to learn so much from you. The world will get to know so much about what live commerce is all about, because again, I was actually looking into a lot of the reports coming out of Europe about live commerce, right? And one of the reports out of the European e-commerce industry only has, across 112 pages, I kid you not, I can share the report with you, across 112 pages, they had only one small paragraph on live commerce. Just one. So in the future for live commerce in Europe, again, as Infinite would say, is really infinite. And, there are a lot of things, as you said, to look forward to. So I look forward to every single one of them. With that being said, I think we're coming up to the end of our show. But for everyone listening, please check out Infinite Live Commerce. Description will be in the link in the description box below. So please do check them out. Some of the work that they're doing is absolutely wonderful, especially changing the entire landscape of e-commerce, live commerce, and e-commerce. out of Ukraine and for Europe. Dymtro, it's lovely to have you on the show. Lovely speaking to you. We'll be staying in touch.
Thank you very much for having me, everyone.
No, it's honestly, it was absolutely my pleasure. So, let's wrap it up and take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.